Topic time, where we talk about what you think about.
Okay, so effective communication is essential for a healthy and happy marriage. By practicing active listening, using the letter I statements, and paying attention to nonverbal communication, practicing empathy, and being open to compromise and feedback, couples can improve their communication skills and strengthen their relationship. And so tonight on Topic Time, we are discussing effective communication tips for a better listening and speaking with your spouse. This is interesting, so I would like to hear from you as well on it. You can send us your WhatsApp or voice note to 024-488-3008, okay? Or call us when we do open the phone line much later, okay? So, with us tonight to look at this topic is Mr. Innocent Asema. Mr. Asema is a health and safety professional, and Ms. Philo thinks should be a counselor by now too. Okay, Mr. Asema, you're welcome.
Thank you, Harry, and thank you to good evening to our listeners and then to our co-panelists. And want to wish each and every listener, our listeners, wonderful, happy New Year. I think this is our first time officially in the year 2025. And so I'd like to say thank you to everybody who has been with the Orange Lounge from last year all through to this time. And we believe it's been beneficial to most of us. Listen to the discussions and have picked up some lessons and nuggets of wisdom from what has been shared on here. So thank you very much.
All right. Happy New Year to you too. Okay, so let's begin on this note. Can you give us some basic communication mistakes that people make in their relationships?
All right. So in relationships, there are some mistakes that most of us do when we are communicating with our spouses or our friends or our colleagues, but in this case in relationships. One of the basic mistakes we do is thinking that because you have spoken, the person has listened and has heard what you said. And that especially happens to us men, or especially the women or ladies. The fact that you said something, it doesn't mean the gentleman has heard what you said and is going to act based on it. So sometimes we make those mistakes, thinking that what has been said, and so the other party has understood what you said, and so it's expected that he or she must be able to act as you have rightly put it. But unfortunately, your means of communication to the person will make the person not actually hear what you are saying. I always say that there is a voice behind the voice that is speaking, and you need to ensure that the voice behind the voice you are saying, the words you are speaking, is actually what you are trying to communicate, and that is heard instead of just the words that the person is saying. And most times we make mistakes by not actually listening effectively whenever we are communicating. Listening is also an act of communication, and most times we don't listen. We also tend to just assume that what the person has said is exactly what the person is saying by not asking for clarities and then trying to get the basics out of it. So those are one of the key things that we do. Another thing we normally do in our line of communication, which is a mistake some of us do, is trying to impose what you are asking the person on that person. Most times, because you think this is what I expect at the end of the day, when the other party comes with a result that is different from what you communicate earlier, it tends to give us a different perspective. Unfortunate for us is our nature of upbringing also affects our way of communication. A classical example was a gentleman who came from a home where he has never seen argument or the mom or the dad exchange words, and so he gets into a relationship with this lady who is very outspoken, and so the lady comes back and asks him a question, and he just answers the question just like that and walks away. And the lady says, no, you can't just walk away. You need to talk to me. Both of us need to sit down, discuss the subject. And he says, no. I am the man. I have said this, and that's it. Instead of trying to understand the woman from her perspective, be like, no, my mom doesn't ask my dad questions. And so why are you asking me questions? You were not brought up properly, and that became a challenge in that relationship. And so it's important that when we are communicating, we try to understand the perspective from the people we are communicating with, so we'll be able to effectively communicate with them. So I think I'll pause up here and then we'll pick it up from another side. Thank you.
Okay, so does any one of you have something to add? You don't?
Oh, okay.
All right.
So like we were talking about using the I statement, is it?
No. The question was, what basic communication mistakes do you know that people make in relationships?
The basic one.
Yes, just a few basic ones, or common ones that you know that people make every now and then.
Like they're not not being a good listener. Yes, there are some people that when you are talking, they are
hearing you talk, but they are not listening.
Yes, the person wouldn't believe.
I know many people like that.
So we see that sometimes such people, you talk to them at a point, ask you, hey, what were you saying? If you
okay, there are those who are like that, and then there are those who assume meaning of what you are saying. So, in other words, you mean that I am going to go across the street to meet my friend. They assume that what you are saying is you are going to go out and come at a certain time. When you have not added time,
they have concluded for you.
Yes. So it's like too confusing.
And there are some people too. They deliberately do that. Whilst you are talking to them, their eyes will be somewhere. They don't give you that eye contact. And you see, there are some people, they want the eye contact. It also creates some kind of tension. Because sometimes when you look at the person's facial expression, you could understand what the person is trying to communicate to you.
What about the thing where when I am speaking, then they are reading my facial expression to pick meaning from my facial expressions and not pay attention to my words?
Oh, sometimes the reason why some people do that,
women who do that,
yes, because your action or your facial expression is sending a different signal than what you are saying.
I am speaking words to you,
and your facial expression is telling me different things.
No.
Okay, so Henry, what happens is that that is one thing you study, investigators do. Now the whole face communicates. Your eyelid communicates. Your eyebrow communicates. Your beard communicates. Your nose communicates. Your mustache communicates.
Oh no.
So whatever information you are saying, it's expressed in your face. So your facial expression speaks more than even the words you are speaking. And that is one mistake most of us, in our part of the world, we don't know. So you are talking to somebody, that's why I said the voice behind the words you are speaking. It actually shows or expresses in your face. And sometimes somebody will be telling you the truth, but you can know from his facial expression that this person is telling you what we call, somebody will say, holy lies.
Okay, so it sounds like he's telling you some truthful stuff, but the body language does not match it.
Yes. And another mistakes we do is we do interrupt a lot. When people are communicating, we interrupt a lot of people.
The interruption.
What I've realized and normally happens in relationship is about when also make kasa or no so kasa. I'm just talking to you, you are communicating back. So the words, we can say, they meet on their way without giving any meaning to both of us. You get it?
No.
What I'm trying to say is that, like, when you are talking,
Isn't
when
that
one is talking, the other one should keep quiet.
interruption.
Yeah.
It comes under the interruption.
The other one should keep quiet and listen to what the person is saying.
Like the way we do the debate here. You talk, you listen.
Yeah,
You
good.
talk.
You listen. So that at the end of the day, you all find meanings to what you are saying, because communication, the end is the meaning. Because when there's no meaning to what you said, there's no communication. It will, especially when your wife is annoyed and she's talking. The best way to do as a man is to keep quiet and let her finish talking. But when she's talking to, she will just want you to also say something back. You get it? When you are not responding to it, it's also a form of communication to her. She will just want you to also be saying certain things so that she can dwell on what you are saying to prejudge you. But when you are quiet, the judgment is back to her and she will be saying certain things. But when you are talking, she talks back. And that doesn't bring effective communication. Because communication should be something that whatever the person is saying, there should be something you can.
There should be a feedback.
You should understand it very well. And that way that I think, like the way we are discussing about it, people should also pay attention to it, that whenever there's one is communicating with, when you are communicating with your wife or you are communicating with your husband, just let your husband finish making the statement.
And then
before you interrupt. So it boils down to interruption.
All right.
Some people do interrupt.
So
because, you know,
if I get you, let's
criticize you, then they'll prejudge you.
Okay.
So
So I'm trying to get this thing together here. So the basic mistakes we have identified will be interruption, which we just finished, body language not matching what you are saying, and not making eye contact when you are communicating,
Not listening.
and not listening effectively and responding.
and then criticizing.
Okay. Unnecessary criticism.
Critics.
Okay.
And then being prejudgmental.
All right. That one, I think it's a women's issue.
I don't know women,
Because you guys do it a lot. You are dominant in that space.
Hey.
Another thing we do is most times people also tend to be very defensive.
Yes, mostly women
Tend
too.
to be very
Yes.
defensive.
What mostly women?
And whenever a communication is coming up,
Everything women.
No,
Being
but
defensive to women.
no, but
I
those,
disagree with that.
no, those people are dangerous.
No,
I mean, it's not just women
No, but I disagree with you referring to that one, because it is men normally
who are defensive.
who are always defensive,
Yes.
because they always want to show that
Yes.
what they are saying,
They are the head.
Yeah.
not the head.
She's submissive.
No, it's not about
Not that.
submissive. It's just that I say, "Beman in the kasa no person just on intro." He's just defending whatever. Even who say it is just pure lies, as the body language has already indicated. Say, the guy is just lying. But no. He's just defending what he's saying.
Okay.
So it is by both sex.
Yeah. That's, but it's the other way, Mom. It's
the other way.
mostly-
Say it. It's the other way.
Yes.
Which other way?
It's mostly men who are that defensive. But it's a prevalent kind of character with certain people. It might be predominant in males, but I've seen it in both male and female. It's like and the other thing with them is they tend to pretend around people that they respect. Okay, if it's the guy or the lady, they will pretend in the midst of people they respect. Then they show their true character when they are alone with their spouse. You get it? So those are a few basic communication mistakes that we have. Okay, we can look at our next question, which is how can spouses make each other feel more heard and understood? If we can at least identify some 5 or 6 or 7 points that people can rely on to ensure that what they are getting is truly what the person is communicating to them.
Okay, so firstly, we will look at that. Those come under probably some tips for. It has to be from effective listening. Now, when you are doing effective listening, you have to need to try as much as you can to practice that active listening. Now, when you are listening actively, you focus fully on your spouse, or you focus fully on your partner when that person is speaking. So you try as much as you can to remove distractions, such as the televisions, the phones, and all those things that mostly brings about the distractions. We also need to acknowledge that what you are saying is being heard by your partner. Now, we need to also try as much as you can to listen without interrupting. Now, allow your spouse to finish their thoughts before responding. And it's something that happens most of the time. You might be speaking to your spouse, all of a sudden your thought pattern is on a trajectory. Before you realize it is curtailed by an interjection. You don't finish what you're saying, and then it comes back in. And that is something that we all need to look at and ensure that we avoid those things. And we try as much as we can to summarize whatever you are saying instead of making it long. It is believed that women speak 20,000 words a day.
Please repeat.
Statistics have shown, research has shown that women speak 20,000 words a day.
Okay.
While men speak only 7,000 words.
Okay, women are in a comfortable lead.
And so you need to understand that whatever you are saying, break it down and let your spouse speak. It doesn't mean that, once she's talking, once he is talking, you just have to be talking. But try as much as you can to summarize whatever you are doing and try to avoid being judgmental or trying to take assumption positions. It is also important to ask open-ended questions. When you ask open-ended questions, then you'll be able to get more information from your spouse. The close-ended one is like answers that demand a yes or no response.
So typically, what's an example of an open-ended question?
So in asking, you could ask me, the person, what do you think, for instance, you could ask the person, what do you think would help in the situation?
Okay.
Maybe your kids have come from school and you notice that observe over a period of time that the school is not helping the kids, and you want to change the school. Don't just tell the person, do you think we should change the school, yes or no? No. I noticed the kids are not. What do you think we can do about improving the school life of our kids?
Okay, so in other words, the question should be such that it gets your partner to then have to think and be more expansive with the answer they are going to give. Okay.
And that it helps the person to communicate effectively. There are some that they says my partner is the introvert type. They don't like talking, and they always tell you, whatever you bring is okay. And sometimes when you find the introvert to be the woman, it creates a lot of challenges because she believes that whatever the husband says goes. But some of them, the challenge is it is not the personality of the person, it's how the person was brought up or the environment she grew up from.
Okay.
And so, like I was giving the earlier one, they've not seen that kind of thing before. Is final, is the best. But you should be able to also make an input. And so the husband should be able to encourage the wife to also speak up. When it is opposite also, the other will say, well, no, but that shouldn't be. You should encourage the person to also come out, to be able to speak out. But the challenge is that there is no man that is just quiet. They also always says that still waters are very deep. When he is quiet, it doesn't mean he doesn't have anything to say. He has a lot of things to say, but you just need to punch the right buttons so he can be able to pour out whatever is within him. And there are things we need to do to be able to get the person to that particular level where he or she can be able to express out. You don't come home in an angry mood and expect the person to speak out. The person will have to gauge your mood. The woman will say, is this woman in a good mood to listen? Is this man in a mood to actually even accept what I'm going to say? So sometimes the spouse may have something to say, but it can take them 3 days before they come out with the same thing they had wanted to say the first day, because you did not create the environment or the ambience for them to be able to speak or ask you some of those things. And we need to also manage our nonverbal communications.
Okay.
Very, very important. In our part of the world, we don't manage that very well. Nonverbal communications, our hands, your facial expressions, all speaks different languages. And so you might be telling something to this person, to your, and women are they have a very solid discernment gifts or spirit. They can pick what you are saying even deep from your heart or from your soul without you voicing it out. And so the fact that the woman is looking at you and not saying anything doesn't mean she doesn't know what exactly is happening in your mind. She might just decide to overlook it. And that is one challenge, especially men do. Oh, so doesn't mean she doesn't know. She knows. She can pile it down for you, press it down, shake it over, keep it running. And the day she decides to unveil it, she will give you a history from 1960 to 2025. And when you check all your data also, everything is on point. So it is important that you manage your nonverbal communications when you are speaking with them. Be aware of your body language, your facial expressions. Face your spouse or your partner when you are speaking. Maintain a relaxed position, and then avoid crossing your arms. Once you fold your arms, in language, once you fold your arms, it's like you're closed out.
You're disinterested.
You are not interested in whatever they are saying. You pocket yourself. Most of those are languages that we don't even normally think they are communications, but they are absolute communications. And so I would believe that in the future that should be added to part of our curriculum in studies. Okay. Verbal and non-verbal communications. When you go outside this country, you learn a lot of things. And so that is because I have worked with a little bit of expatriates, you get to understand that even your way of standing in front of them, tell them whether you are confident in what you are saying, you are not confident in what you are saying, and they are able to take advantage of some of those things. So when you are talking to your spouse, you need to come up and speak to the person in that manner to ensure that the person is also on the same pace with you, and be patient. It's important to be patient with us. The Bible will tell you a soft answer will keep away most of the challenges as well. And so it's important that when you are speaking, you also take your time, and then you are in a better position to get the best out of it. I'm trying to balance both the Quran and then the Christian. So in the Quran, it says in one of the books that in Surah and Nisa, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it correctly, 14:19, and it says that, and live with them in kindness. Okay. So your expressions, your speeches, and your acting should also reflect the same as it is expected. And so I believe as we go along, we'll be able to balance from both perspectives for others to also get it. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, Nana.
What he was saying, because there are a lot of things that we also need to know when it comes to communication. Because as he has already said, I will also prefer that it is good that whenever you are talking to your spouse, the word I, in terms of home management, should be rather be we. You get it? It should not be focused on only I, but we. How do we do this? Where do we put this thing? Where do you place this playable? When it happens like that, both parties know that we are involved, or I'm involved in doing whatever is happening in the family. Normally, when raising up kids, especially women, either they think that they have their sympathy or apathy or whatever they want to when it comes to the children welfare. So they prefer normally using the word I when it comes to the children upkeep. But the best way to do is, as he said, we now, okay, why do we want to, not why do you want to, why do we want to change the child's school? When you say that, it means that either the person is either involved or not involved, even try to be part of it at a go. Why do you want to change the child's school? Why do we want to? So the I should be something that we should try as much as possible to avoid it, and then use the word we so that it's managed, or let the communication at the house be effective when it comes to the home management. I think Philo wants to say something.
No, she doesn't want to say anything.
Are you sure?
She's fine. All right, let's move on.
Okay. You can. Okay, and what you have to also know is that you have to, when you are doing the form of communication, you have to also appreciate whatever your partner does, especially like when your partner is able to give you the are you aware of the what we call the pinch bar? You get, when your partner is able to give you a pinch bar, I mean, you need to appreciate and then say thank you for giving me the pinch bar or the plasma.
When there's satisfaction,
you get it.
if there is no satisfaction,
no, that's what. No, even if it's not a satisfaction, the other party.
And
listen.
That you said the woman.
I said your partner.
Your partner can only say thank you. Why there is a satisfaction?
So why are you assuming that there's not?
There is no satisfaction. I don't know why
it's because she was sleeping.
Thank you.
She's communicating. You are not listening.
I was communicating.
No, she's also communicating. You are not listening.
You are just supporting. You say thank you.
I am not just supporting. I am telling you that she's communicating.
No, I'm saying something.
Even what you said, that when you are communicating at home, you should use the word we more than the letter I. I beg to differ. Sometimes when your spouse is doing something that affects you and you are communicating it, you need to use the I to express your dissatisfaction with what he or she is doing to you effectively. But if you beat about the bush, the person over time realizes that you are not confident in expressing yourselves, especially with things that affect you directly. So they will take full advantage of that. And then there is the bit where, in order to clamor for unity and unison in the home, you have to use the word we consistently, not just at home, even at your workplace. There are some bosses that everything is about them. Whenever there is an achievement, it's them. They never involve the rest of the team. They never say we did this together, we did that together. It's once it's an achievement, he claims it wholeheartedly, as if he's never done any wrong. I mean, if you cast your mind not too far back, we've had somebody like that even in this country. Okay,
but what can I add this 2 points? Like there should be a check-in, regular check-in.
Check-in of what?
Like when it comes to those the question you just posed, like asking how the spouse feel more heard. There should be a check-in, a regular check-in too.
Like what?
So like the regular check-in is where you set aside time to have certain discussions.
Time no day. When are you going to set
time no day in relationship?
Heard the song before. Time no day.
I'm not talking about time no day a song. So like that one, so you set about, then you do discuss important topics. Then when it's happening, it makes you also connect with each other, and then you create a safe space. Let a person feel safe in the environment, like the home or where the person is living. The person should be very comfortable. Have a private environment, right, where both partners feel safe by sharing their feelings and all that.
Yeah.
Mama Munsro, are you getting it? I shouldn't be afraid of you.
I remember a story I heard about from our general overseer that when their kids were of age. One of them, in one of the family meetings, they were like, are you two, referring to the man as parents, that they've never seen them fight? And what kind of marriage is that? Because they, as adults who are just gotten married, they have disagreement here and there, but they realize that they had never seen their parents do that. I'm adding this to the safe space that you talked about. So it was then that he looked at the wife and they both laughed, because what they set out to do was to just have the confines of their bedroom as their fighting space. So they will have all the fight in the bedroom. As soon as they leave the bedroom, they leave the fight there. By the time the children are asleep and they need to continue that fight, they get back to the bedroom again and finish it there like that. So the 4 children never realized that this was how they were managing it. But that was how they managed it. I suspect it was because they didn't have enough rooms to but that's how practically they chose to manage it. You could find another way by yourself to do it. Maybe you go out.
Yeah, you go and fight. You go and argue outside. Then when you come home.
Well, if that works for you. Okay. All right. So let's look at what things couples can do to bring happiness and feelings of connection, like very practical things that they can do at home or together on the phone, in any form that can bring happiness and feelings of connection to the two of them.
Okay, so I've encouraged that we try to use humor wisely. Sometimes create some funny jokes and let the spouse laugh and smile. It puts the other party in a very relaxing mood. I remember a colleague used to tell me that anytime he comes back home and sees the wife in a very different mood, he starts singing a song. So, and then whilst he starts singing, the wife looks at him and starts laughing. How did they be by the new neighbor? They be to Numa Ukrap and Trabon Biasuda. Look at you know, backing vocalist.
Okay.
It changes the atmosphere, it relaxes the person, puts the person in a different mood, and then that person can be able to express themselves and then speak out. It's also important to manage emotions. Emotions, sometimes you pause and take a deep breath if you feel overwhelmed during conversations. And sometimes when the man is not speaking, it doesn't also mean he's not listening. I have a principle. I always tell people, I choose my peace over my right. I have the right to respond. I have the right to answer you this way. I have the right to do this way. But I ask myself, will me taking a stance for my right overrule my peace of mind, or I can compromise the right and still have my peace? And then I learned that from one of my mentors, Reverend Eastwood Anaba. He said something the other day. He said at a point in his life, he spoke to his pastors and they felt like he was too harsh on them. And so in a meeting, they were all speaking, and they said, okay, I'm sorry. He knelt down and apologized to them.
Wow.
And after apologizing to them, he said, none of them even helped me
to get up.
I got up myself. Then he asked his senior associate that when I knelt down, what was my height? Then he said, well, your height was, when you knelt down, I don't know your height. That's okay, I am 6'2". That's okay. My height. When I knelt down and I stood up again, has my height reduced? He says no. He said, okay, what is my role or my title in this organization? He said, you are the founder and general overseer. Okay. After kneeling down and apologizing to you, has my title changed? My title is still the same. At that moment, he decided to choose the peace over his right to say, I am the general overseer, I am the head pastor of this association, and whatever I say is final. No. And so it's also important that we try as much as we can to manage our emotions. When we think we're overwhelmed, take a deep breath, take out of the scenario, and try to just come back. It is something that our culture, we find it difficult to do, especially the men. Mm-hmm. The man says, if a man apologizes to the wife, they will say he's weak. But apologizing is not a sign of weakness, it's rather a sign of strength. And taking responsibility for issues is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. You have to be a strong person to accept your mistake and try to deal with it. But that is a challenge in our part of the world. No, we don't want to accept our challenges or our faults. We are always right, and that doesn't help us and doesn't create a very harmonious environment for our spouse whenever we are discussing subjects or talking with them as well. So it's important that we take note of those things, and then we try as much as we can to take those things. It's also stated in the Quran with the same verses that if you fear dissensions between two, send an arbiter. In case you have challenges, send an arbiter from his people and an arbiter from her people. If they both desire reconciliation, then it says Allah will cause it between them. So sometimes in those situations, find ways by which you'll be able to get this. And that is stated in the Surah An-Isis 4:35. I'm trying to get some of those things. So if you happen to be a Muslim, it's part of the Quran that we try as much as we can to get this also. And if you are Christian also, it's said in the Holy Book as well that we try as much as we can to balance some of these things as well, to live at peace with each other, and then we encourage ourselves to a better relationship. I think my co-panelists will also have something to say. Thank you.
Okay. They don't. Nana is going to do the tricky Nana's dilemma, so we are done with him.
Comfort, like to make the home comfortable, the physical one should have a massage. Like you should be able to give your partner
a massage.
A massage. So let
say it again. Say it again. You mean?
Is it body massage?
Yeah, body massage.
Body massage.
Yes, massage.
Like the one that you normally enjoy. Okay, all right.
Okay.
And it's very important. Massaging is
very
important.
So like
it helps put
the person relax. Yeah, to put
so
the person in that relax.
Massage.
Yes, massage. It's very
if I forget
facial
anything,
massage.
Don't forget the massage. You can give, even if the person is your partner, so you can give
because right now I feel like I need.
So when
massage.
you go home, yes, when you go home, Mrs. is going to give you a full body massage.
Full body massage recommended by Miss Philo for HKO between today and tomorrow.
Yeah, so Mrs. please, as he comes home, prepare for that, and I should be able to control your the temperature.
Once I finish with the massage, I can control my temper.
That is why it's very necessary. These are physical comforts, things that you can do to make the person feel comfortable in the house and all that.
All right.
We should also express gratitude and appreciation.
A lot. Okay.
And men, most of the time, tend not to say thank you, especially to their spouses. Even after she has prepared lovely food for you, dinner or lunch or whatever it is, at least say, honey, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. That statement alone does a lot to the woman than we normally think. Just saying thank you, honey. Even if the soup is not as nice as you may want it, honey. Today your soup is really nice. So I tasted it, but just that I felt the salt was a little low. But today, in fact, you can smell my fingers, the aroma is still on my hand. It gives the woman a different perspective. She feels you appreciate the effort, the energy, and the time she has invested in what she's done. And it's very important that we do that to ensure, and those can be communicated in different ways.
Okay.
Cannot always be verbal.
So you can't say that you should be expressing.
Even when the other party is talking, you, even if Mpeka Sakra, be in the mood to just listen to the person, just to make the person feel comfortable.
One thing my dad did was, from what my mom says is, if he's coming home and he doesn't get anything, he picks a flower from town, wherever he's coming from, on the road, wherever, he picks a flower. When he comes, hands it over to her. Says,
in today's Ghana, that you go hard.
But in today's Ghana, nobody would. But if you ask ladies, you buy a flower for a lady, and she goes to her room, or your wife, your partner, that flower, she will smell it, put it under her pillow. Just the thoughts alone of getting her something.
These days it is cash, you. It is cash.
Women, it's affection that translates into other things.
Yes, but these days a lot of the women, they have affection towards the cash.
There's a woman here. You just asked that the cash is this and there's money here. Which one?
I thought this part of the conversation.
No, this is where my interest is, because she's here. You just asked her, this is cash, this is flower. Which one do you prefer?
I prefer the flower.
This one, dear. This one.
And you should, when it comes to, we have the personal space and boundaries, right? So you have to curate, you have to schedule alone time. Sometimes you have to be alone to recharge.
It's difficult for a lot of partners to understand that you say you want to be alone. They think you are saying that they are a nuisance to your company.
No, I think, okay, probably based on how it is being communicated.
Yeah, so they somehow don't.
Part of the world,
they haven't
interpreted.
I haven't like, come to the point of realizing.
Feel like, have I done something wrong? That he or she wants.
But it is not you.
But sometimes you have to. Well, even when you do that, like it makes you recharge.
Yes. Because
you think, then when you come back, you recharge everything.
Yes. So
then everything.
That's why for most homes, the favorite place for a lot of men is the washroom.
Now will be 1,000 years.
Because mostly it is something with men. They require some quiet for a certain period of the day. Mostly it's like when they come back from work or something like that. Not every man will want to meet the noise that greets them.
So see, the challenge is men wants to think. When a woman comes to you and says and asks you a problem, you say, I want to think about it. The first thing, why do you want to go and think about it? Because
they wanted instant.
She can process 5 or 10 events at the same time. She doesn't need time to process anything. But the man needs time to think through whatever is coming to
you. One question, then I will not talk again till the time. Nino was saying that when the woman asks a question, and if you say you want to go and think about it, the woman doesn't understand. But I want to find out, when you propose to a woman, he said, I want to go and think over it. And that one, where is the thinking going from?
Statistics shows that about 90% of them who says, I'm going to think about it, is an indication they've accepted your proposal. But there are some cases that they said, I'm going to think about it just to avoid you because probably you've been disturbing or
you're a nuisance.
So then I'll think about it just to get rid of you. But about 90%, most of them end up coming to say, well, I've accepted your proposal.
All right. So
and they have to respect boundaries too as well.
It's linked with the me time and the
need to respect boundaries.
Okay. Sometimes it's as if people don't realize that the boundaries, the alone time, the quiet moments, they all help to nurture the relationship at the end of the day. Mostly it's a problem with women. They assume that perhaps he's chatting on the phone with other people. A lot of the time it's not like that. It's a man wanting to get his faculties right, his head straight, and be able to function.
I think it all depends on how we were brought up, our background in the culture, and your dreams.
Or perhaps we are so still living in the past that we haven't grown to get with the times that we live in. And there are many people in Ghana like that. They are stuck in an era which is long gone, but they don't realize that a lot of things, yes, a lot of things have changed. Okay, let's deal with this final one, and then I hope we can do it in 5 minutes or something. How do we fix lack of communication in marriage? Because seriously, I've been bombarded with this kind of question. Not that they come with a question like this directly. How do we fix lack of communication in marriages? There are couples who have issues where, like I said, the man is stuck somewhere, perhaps taking a certain Bible verse as his foundation. The most popular one being that the woman should be submissive.
Because that's what the person was told.
Okay, so it means that with this, some people find it difficult to even understand that the woman you have married also has a mind and intelligence to be expressive of what they are feeling, what they are thinking, the wisdom they also have to share. So if you are not going to be accommodating, if you are not going to be receptive to the thoughts and what she brings to the table, it becomes very difficult for you then to get the best out of this person, because you are not appreciating the very little that she feels she's contributing to the relationship. So it gets to a point they'll probably leave everything to you. You realize you are suffering. Meanwhile, you are too proud to ask her for help. Because for instance, I've called my wife Solution Center. Yes, because she's like a walking solution. Okay. Pose, if she doesn't have a solution, she'll tell you. But 90% of the time, what you are asking, she has a solution for. And 90% of the time, those same solutions, they work to perfection. So if you give your spouse the chance to be expressive in the relationship, it goes a long way. So how do we fix lack of communication in marriages? Because most people are not communicating. They assume they are.
Okay, so one of the key issues is that most of us don't understand our spouses. I had an experience personally. Like Riley says, your wife is always a solution center. Women, they think deep before they take a decision. They don't just take a decision anyhow. Before a woman comes up to tell you something, she has thought, process, assess, reassess, analyze,
digest,
done all the risk assessment, review it, done all the processes before coming to tell you one thing. But women are mostly not good at taking risk. So before she takes a risk, she has done all the necessary analysis before taking it. Okay. But a man can just take a risk, 1, 2, 3, you fine, and for those fine. About 10, 12 years ago, there was this investment thing that was about coming. So I just told my wife about it, that I want to do this, because a colleague said it was a viable thing. You invest like some few amount of dollars before you realize it increases, and people were doing it, and I was like, okay, this is a nice venture, at least let's invest this thing. 12, 15 years ago, it was about 10,000, and I just said, okay, honey, let's push this thing through. And she says, honey, no, I don't think we should invest this amount into this thing. Even if you want to go because you want to really try it, just do like 1,000 and test the
Just
system
watch it.
to see how effective. I said, no. I want this to. The money must go, and then the results must come. Everything.
But you've done your calculation. If you
I
make
have
that
just
amount.
felt, at the end of the month, I will be able to get
You know,
maybe,
yeah.
if you put 10,000, you'll be hitting like 50,000 or whatever it is. I am only looking at that aspect of it. I wasn't looking at whether it could crash, it could become a Ponzi scheme, it could become something. No. Once I am seeing the result, I am result oriented, bam, going for it. And she also felt like, no, just take it easy. Let's analyze it. I'm in the industry, let me process this. Look, I just felt, okay, let me just get going. I just did. I invested it without her. I just said, push through, okay. Then I was there. In less than 3 weeks, everything came crumbling.
What?
When I was coming, it was like a chicken that was beaten by rain, and the mother was nowhere to be found. Coming home. And by the time I walked in, she had known that I had done the investment.
Okay.
Because we shared the accounts. She knew that I had done the investment. She didn't say anything. She didn't ask me about it. But she also knew that was going to fail. But because she shared her opinion and you didn't listen, she just decided to let you go. And I went faced and I learned that bitter lesson. And have never made that mistake again. So when you don't give room for your spouse to also bring their views on board, no matter how stupid you think it may be, listen to it, assess it, and try to get it back on track. It's very, very important. I always say there is no stupid question. The question that to you at that point may not fit the purpose for which it's asked, but that doesn't mean the question being asked is stupid. So if your spouse is trying to engage, try as much as you can to listen. Our dogmatic way of thinking that I must be treated as a king. If you treat her also as a queen,
she will treat you.
She will also treat you as a king.
Okay.
So let's balance the situation. Our communication skills. Men tend to just say, hey, I am the one, I am this. No, it doesn't help.
All right. That's a nice way to end it. Let me do my concluding remarks here. So many couples enter conversations as though they are debates or arguments that they must win. While you may not agree with your partner's point of view, it's important to actually listen to why they feel the way they do. In fact, they should also do the same for you too. Now, finally, what does the Bible say about communication in marriage? Well, it says that the secret to a peaceful life is to make communication the number one aim of your marriage. Proverbs 18 verse 21 says that death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. You can kill your marriage or give it life by learning effective communication skills. And by those words, we come to the end of our discussion here on Topic Time tonight. I would like to say thank you to our special guest, Mr. Innocent Asima, for his time and insightful knowledge.